The Bear has finally ended its run. Today I'm going to give my full ranking of each of the seasons. If you know me, you know I love this show. It's a source of both comfort and anxiety. I just went through rewatched the original seasons and season 5 for the first time. So here's how I'd rank the season from worst to the best to best of the best. I want to make this very clear though. I think every single season is good to great television. There is none I inherently dislike. I just think some of them do some things better than others, you know what I mean? So yeah. In 5th place, we have season 3. When watching season 3, you very quickly notice that this feels like a completely different season to the ones that came before. After the very quick and thrilling pace of season 2, suddenly everything just slows down and we're forced to sit and reflect on, you know, the finale of season 2 with our characters. There's no rush to resolve anything here. And this isn't a bad thing. It just really grounds that finale in reality and gives it so much stakes and weight. Lots of time is spent just purely exploring and analyzing how our characters cope with grief and loss and their issues. I really liked how little of a role Claire played this season. I love Claire, but it really paints us a better picture of him and his response to situations. We see him ultimately burying himself in his work, lashing out on his co-workers and creating all these extremely just complex systems just so he can distract himself from that pain and longing. It does that with all these characters. Marcus, he's dealing with the death of his mom. Sydney's dealing with that growing feeling of voicelessness in the workplace. Richie's fear of replacement and abandonment in his family. We get one of my favorite scenes in the whole show where Tommy finally confronts Chef David, the abusive chef that he worked with in New York. And it's so unsatisfying in the absolute best way possible. Ultimately, it's a very inner focus and personal season that serves as almost the beginning of these characters' ultimate journey forward into their healing and improvement. Due to this pace though, there's a lot less stuff happening, right? It's almost a setup season for seasons 4 and 5. It lacks the clear direction and momentum that the other seasons have, and it doesn't have as many highs per se, just a very smooth and consistent level of quality. A noticeable amount of fat could probably be trimmed here as well, where I think there's maybe a bit too much time spent on side characters like the fat and celebrity cameos, which do work but in small doses. Too much of that this season. Alright, in 4th place we have our latest and last season, season 5. Season 5 acts as the full culmination of the show, and it's the healthiest season of them all. We go back to form with a very restaurant-centric season taking place over one day, with the writers ultimately molding the ultimate stress-inducing disaster situation from becoming the perfect vehicle to fully pay off and show the growth of each character. We have the building falling apart, they're low on money and food, top food critic coming in, but as the season unfolds, everything that happens in the show builds towards all this payoff where we get the ultimate parallel to early the best restaurant sequences. Instead of having everyone, you know, at each other's throat, yelling, swearing at each other, every single character demonstrates what they've learned over the whole show, leading to all of them coming together, working as a team to get through the day. And it's so satisfying and so refreshing. Getting to the service part though can be a bit rough, where I think in the first half of the season there was a clear bit of meandering and manufactured drama, leading to a pretty significant quality difference. I'd even go as far as to say it's the worst set of episodes in the show. I think they overextended the run just a little bit with season 4, maybe, you know, wrapping up a little bit too much, which season 5 then has to overbloat some story aspects to fill in that 8-episode runtime. They didn't need 8 episodes for this season. There's this season-long plot line about, you know, Uncle Cicero and Computer trying to franchise the Bear, and it's necessary for the story, but the amount of screen time it takes up over the whole season, it doesn't feel justified, and there's a pretty big quality gap there when you go from the restaurant scenes over to those scenes. But the last 3-4 episodes enter this just flow state though, and really pick up with the eventual finale, breaking this year's trend of disappointing endings. Every character had their moment to shine. Everyone had their appropriate and earned end-off. Stumbled a bit in the beginning, it ultimately succeeded in delivering stuff that mattered. In 3rd place, we have season 4. Season 4 I'd describe as the second half of season 3, in that it takes what was set up in season 3 with all its analyzing and stewing and just resolves and acts on all of that. So straight away feels more focused. First episode starts us off with an absolute bang. We get clear stakes, a clear mission and destination. So it thoroughly improves on that feeling of directionlessness and gives the season more of a clear path, at least for half of it. I think it goes off a bit of track in the middle, but ultimately I think it gets back to where it needs to go in the second half. A lot of time is spent resolving a lot of core relationships and dynamics, where we get just absurd amounts of payoff. Everything our characters realized and learned from in season 3 through their reflection is taken action upon here, whether that's with Kami repairing all his relationships, Sydney making her decision, Richie coming to terms with his new family dynamic. We get a lot of payoff that feels satisfying and earned because of that time we took to properly set up and flesh out these conflicts last season. This is, in my opinion, best defined through Kami, where we finally just start to see him really learn and change. We get him making up with his mom, making up with Claire, making up with Lee, and it feels very realistic and very grounded, which is what matters, right? It doesn't feel like everything's all good. The impact from his past decisions is still there. Everything's not easily made up. So ultimately, it's a season of action and resolution. Again, it's probably not the most focused, where there's maybe a bit too much of a wrestle of direction between the inner character stuff and the external restaurant stuff, which is ultimately not as interesting as what's happening with the characters. But it doesn't detract that much for me. I think the ultimate version of these last 3 seasons would have been season 3 being that setup season, maybe the first half of season 4, and then seasons 4 and 5 being just the payoff. I think that would have been the best route for the show, but it works enough. Still a great show, great seasons. In second place, we have season 1. Season 1 is the beginning of our journey into this world, into Chicago, and I'd go as far as to say it's basically a near perfect introduction. There's not really much you can improve on here. You know, the amount of connection it makes you feel for this set of characters in 8 episodes is something that a lot of shows struggle to achieve throughout their whole runtime, right? You know, immediately you are thrown straight into the deep end. You get to know all our main characters, our main goals straight away. The Bear is very good at how it delivers and how quickly it delivers information and exposition. You know, I heard someone describe its storytelling as efficient, and I agree. That's basically exactly how I described it. Season 1 is the most focused and self-contained season, where a lot of its external conflict is basically just the inner workings of the restaurant. Because of this, we spend just so much time on what ends up being the strongest characters and relationships in the show. We have Sydney and Kami, their relationship, Sydney and Richie, Kami and Sugar. Every character just feels grounded in reality. Very complex, very gray, feeling just ultimately like you're watching real people. We build such a bond and sense of empathy so quickly. Kami especially is such a strong and effective protagonist because he's very relatable, like he's easy to relate to, he's very layered. That as he comes to terms over the season with his new situation, the death of his brother, feelings of being unloved and unaccepted by his brother, when he opens that letter at the end of the season, it's just some of the most moving and emotional moments and stuff in recent TV. It's so impressive, just the amount of emotion that scene manages to elicit in such a short amount of time. It sets up and it pays off all in one season, 8 episodes. Great first season, perfect. I'd pretty much say this is a perfect. Like, this is basically ballpark of how good a first season can be. But first place is the ultimate season of The Bear, season 2. While its structure is not as strong as season 1 and can maybe be a bit back and forth all over the place, this is the peak of the show. I mean, everyone says this, but it's true, right? Every single character gets just this insane level of dissection and exploration this season, from Richie to Kami to Sugar to Marcus. Because this season is less focused on the actual restaurant service side of things, we get just so much time for such a more thorough look at each character's lives outside the restaurant and what they explored in season 1. And it's so interesting and so engaging. We get so much more context regarding why every character is the way they are, what they struggle with. So many hidden layers are peeled back, and it's all done in such different and interesting ways, right? We get Marcus exploring Denmark, Richie discovering himself through staging, his talents of working with people, Sydney stepping up as co-owner of the restaurant, and how that works out with Kami and how they work together and build on that. Kami trying to let himself live life outside of his work. It has some of the show's highest peaks and takes everything I loved about season 1 and just dials it up to 11. It's the show at its most focused and most stressful. There's a clear destination that everything is building to, so there's clear momentum leading you to just want to keep watching, wanting you to put that next episode on. The pinnacle of character writing. We get 3 or 4 of the show's best episodes, with episode 6 and episode 7 being some of my, top 10, top 20 episodes in TV, period. Right. I'd call this a pretty much perfect season of TV. I'd be nitpicking if I said that anything was wrong. 10 out of 10 season. That's the end of my list. Let me know your ranking down below, whether you agree, what you liked, what you didn't like.